All right, let's talk about a relationship that is almost impossible to imagine today, but one that once completely defined the Middle East. It's a wild story of secret deals, shared enemies, and a friendship so deep it's hard to believe, and how it all curdled into one of the most dangerous rivalries on the entire planet.
I mean, it really sounds unbelievable, right? Two nations that are now constantly, and I mean constantly, on the brink of all-out war were once the closest of allies. They were sharing top-level intelligence, exchanging gifts, their leaders were even meeting in disguise. So what on earth happened? Let's get into it.
So to really get this, we've got to rewind the clock. Way back. Picture this. World War I is over, and the old Ottoman Empire is gone. The map of the Middle East is basically a blank slate. And sweeping across this region is this powerful new idea called Arab nationalism, this dream of one giant, unified Arab state. Then, boom, 1948. The State of Israel is born, and it is immediately at war with all of its Arab neighbors.
Now, in this brand new, chaotic landscape, two nations really stood out because they didn't fit in. Iran was Persian, not Arab, and its leader, the Shah, saw this rising tide of Arab power as a direct threat. And Israel, well, it was the Jewish state, completely surrounded by hostile Arab countries. This shared feeling of being the odd ones out, of being isolated, it created the perfect storm for a very, very unlikely alliance.
Israel's whole survival plan at the time was something called the peripheral doctrine. And honestly, it was brilliantly simple. If all your immediate neighbors hate you, you make friends with their neighbors. You just leapfrog them. And if you look at a map, who was the biggest, most powerful non-Arab neighbor on the edge of the Arab world? Yep, Iran. So why did the Shah of Iran say yes? Well, it was a win-win-win for him. First, he was desperate to modernize Iran, to turn it into an industrial powerhouse, and Israel had the cutting-edge technology he needed. Second, he was really worried about Egypt's super charismatic leader, Gamal Abdel Nasser, and his whole pan-Arab movement. But you know, maybe the biggest reason? The Shah basically owed his job to a CIA-backed coup in 1953, and his friends in America really wanted this alliance to happen. And what happened next wasn't just some flimsy political agreement. No, this was a full-blown golden era of cooperation. We're talking a partnership that went incredibly deep, across intelligence, the military, massive economic projects. Some of it happened in the shadows, and some of it was kind of an open secret.
Just look at their intelligence agencies. They were practically joined at the hip. Israel's world-famous Mossad actually provided the training for Savak, the Shah's notorious and feared secret police. They were constantly sharing information, working together to hunt down common enemies, like communists and Arab militant groups.
But it went way beyond spy stuff. They had a huge economic problem to solve. See, Israel desperately needed oil, but the Arab world had a boycott against them. Iran had tons of oil, but getting it to Israel and Europe was a nightmare, because Egypt controlled the Suez Canal. So what was their solution? Something audacious. They decided to build a massive, secret oil pipeline together.
And this right here really tells you everything about the level of trust between them. The pipeline wasn't just a simple trade deal. It was a true 50-50 partnership. Both countries put in half the money. The goal was to break the Arab oil monopoly and secure their own economic futures. Now, Iranian oil could flow right to the Israeli coast and then onto ships for Europe, completely bypassing their rivals.
Of course, to manage all this, Israel had a huge presence in Tehran. Officially, it was just a trade office, but come on, everybody knew it was an embassy in everything but name. This little bit of cover just allowed the friendship to bloom without causing a huge public backlash across the rest of the Muslim world.
I mean, the relationship was so close, but also so sensitive, that the highest level meetings had to be done in total secrecy. There are stories that when Israel's Prime Minister, David Ben-Gurion, flew to Tehran, he would actually wear a wig at the airport just to throw off the press. That's how deep this went.
For decades, this alliance just seemed like a fact of life in the Middle East. It felt permanent, unbreakable. But a single, seismic event was about to come along and shatter the whole thing in an instant.
That event, of course, was the Iranian Islamic Revolution of 1979. The Shah, with all his Western allies and modernization projects, was overthrown. And in his place rose a radical new leader, Ayatollah Khomeini, who brought with him a completely, and I mean completely, different vision for Iran and the world.
Khomeini's ideology was the polar opposite of the Shah's. He didn't see Israel as a strategic partner. He saw it as an illegitimate state. He immediately branded the Shah a traitor for his alliance with the West, and, in a total break from the past, declared that Israel is the enemy of Islam. Just like that,
The entire foundation of their friendship was wiped away.
And the end was just as dramatic as you'd imagine. That Israeli trade office, that symbol of decades of secret friendship, was stormed by revolutionaries. Then, Ayatollah Khomeini himself welcomed the Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat to Tehran and handed him the keys to the building. It became the new Palestinian embassy. A more powerful symbolic and is hard to imagine. The friendship was officially dead.
But wait, the story doesn't end there. Not even close. In fact, it's about to enter a new phase, one filled with some absolutely stunning twists and ironies. The official friendship might have been over, but believe it or not, the secret dealings were not.
This is going to sound completely nuts, but just a year after the revolution, Iran gets into a brutal war with its neighbor, Iraq. And where does the new Islamic Republic of Iran, in desperate need of weapons, get them from? You guessed it. It's brand new, arch nemesis, Israel. So what was going on?
It all comes back to that same old Israeli strategy, the peripheral doctrine. Even though Khomeini's Iran was now a huge ideological enemy, the bigger, more immediate military threat was the Arab state right next door, Iraq. So Israel secretly sold weapons to Iran to help them weaken their shared enemy. It's the ultimate, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, even if we publicly say we want to destroy each other.
But the biggest, the most profound, the most unbelievable irony of this entire decades-long story, it all revolves around the one single issue that defines their conflict today: Iran's nuclear program. Okay, you have to let this sink in. The very same program that Israel now sees as a threat to its very existence was originally a gift of friendship. It was started with American help through the Atoms for Peace program. And guess who helped train Iran's very first generation of nuclear scientists back in the day? Israeli scientists. The program that was born from an alliance is now the thing that could drive them to an all-out war.
So this history is not just some curious footnote. It's absolutely essential to understanding the headlines you read today. The deep roots of this old friendship, the shared intelligence, the secret pipelines, the scientific cooperation, it all makes the rivalry today so much more complex and, frankly, so much more dangerous. It's an incredible reminder that in geopolitics, you never know when your closest friend might just become your deadliest enemy.